Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Kesubos Daf Chaf. We are holding 3 lines from the top of the Amud, and actually right in the middle of a back and forth. We had a story of a shtar which featured 2 Eidim, 2 signatures. Those Eidim have already passed away. And now we have another pair of Eidim coming and negating the first pair. Well, those Eidim were puzzle, etc. What happens now? It's 2 against 2. Rav Sheshes tells us, look, the first pair are not here. You can't incriminate somebody unless you're in his presence, unless you confront him. Here it's Shalai B'fneim, and you can't listen to the second pair of Eidos. And therefore we just use the shtar and treat it as a legal document. Says the Gemara on the 3rd line, Amalei Rav Nachman, how could you do that? Ignore the second pair of Eidim? Ilu havu kaman. Suppose the first pair of Eidim were standing here before us. And the second pair comes and contradicts them. Hava hakchosh. Of course, it would be considered a contradictory situation. And what happens? We ignore them. We cancel them out. What happens when it's 2 against 2? They cancel each other out. We no longer pay any attention to the first Eidim. The Havala, Eidus Mekcheshes, because it's a contradictory Eidus. That's the halacha. 2 against 2, 0. Hashta de last new. Now, just because the first pair happened not to be standing before us, the ilu havel come on. And suppose they were here. Theoretically, Dilma, Havu, Moidelu, perhaps they would admit to what the second pair is saying. So just because they happen not to be standing here, that's going to work to their advantage? Mehemni, they're going to be believed? How can you just ignore the second pair? Allah Rav Nachman. Yeah, apparently we have to just cancel each other out. Uki tre le haditre, we put 2 against 2. Stalemate. V'uki mamoina, we leave the money or the property, whatever we're dealing with, b'cheska smari, in the hands of its owner. We just stay put. And we have an example of such a halacha elsewhere. Midi dehava, just as the case of anichse, the properties, the possessions of this fellow called the Bar Shatia. Midi dehava anichse de Bar Shatia. Bar Shatia was a fellow who sometimes was mentally stable, sometimes mentally unstable. And what happened with him? The Bar Shatia Zaven Nichsi, this fellow Bar Shatia, sold off one of his properties. Now there was a question as to his mental state at that time. Was he okay or was he not okay? Was the sale valid or not? Also Beitrei Amrei, 2 Eidim come along and say, Kishu Shoita Zaven. They claim, well, he wasn't well when he made that sale. It's not legally valid. V'also Beitrei, and another 2 came and contradicted them. V'amrei, they claimed, Kishu Chalim Zaven, he sold it when he was just fine. 2 against 2. Amar Vashi, Uketrei, Laditrei, we put 2 against the 2. V'uki Mamoinim B'cheskas Bar Shata, and we leave the money or the property or the field in the hands and possession of this fellow Bar Shatia. The 2 against 2 cancel each other out, and we just ignore everything. And this is only applied Elid Islay Chazakadav Asay, when Bar Shatia has a chazaka of his parents, meaning we know for a fact this field was owned by his father. That's a proper chazaka. It's a proper hold. It's a proper claim. It was family's possession, which perhaps was sold. Well, if we're not sure, there's a question as to the validity of the sale, so we leave it as it is. But let's say we have no chazak of his father, meaning we only have his chazak. Bar Shati himself had purchased the field. In that case, the halacha changes. You know why? Because Amrinan, we say, Kishu Shoita Zavan, perhaps he purchased it when he was a Shoita, Ukishu Shoita Zavan, and he sold it off when he was in the same state. Unless it was a proper chazaka, belonged to his father, belonged to the family, then we just leave it there. But if it was something that he himself purchased, you never know. Maybe he purchased it when he wasn't well. So we can speculate, we can suggest that it came into him and left his possession while in the same state of instability, in which case he can't reclaim the field. Right? Because if a shoita buys, it's not a legal sale. So maybe that's what he was when he bought the field. Just as he sold it a shoita, he bought it a shoita. So then it works. We just leave it alone, and the owner can hold on to it. Rashi says he doesn't have a strong enough chazaka, barshati, doesn't have a strong enough chazaka to invalidate the sale. Because maybe his purchase was really a questionable purchase. Maybe his entire purchase, his entire ownership of the field was only initiated when he was a shaita, in which case it's not a proper ownership. Therefore, he doesn't have a claim to the field right now. So bottom line is, Rav Shesha says, Hakchasha has to be in the Edim's presence. Rav Nachman disagrees. It's stalemate. Here comes a third shita. Amar Ravo. Ein mezi minas Edim al b'fneim. True. If you want to make Edim zavimin, which basically means you're claiming you saw this incident, this and this day, and this place, well, you were with us. You two were with us in a different location at the same time. That's Edim zavimin. That incriminates them. That has to be done in their presence. But simple contradiction of facts, well, you say this happened, we disagree, that's not hazama, it's not a personal indictment, it's just a factual disagreement, which creates a stalemate, and that can be done even shalai b'fneim, not in their presence. And this is in line with Rav Nachman, right? But here comes a chiddush. V'hazama shalei b'fneim. Suppose they're trying to make hazama. You too. Oh, you're claiming you were in this location at this and this time. What are you talking? You were with us in a different location at that time. That's hazama. So even if it's shalei b'fneim, not in their presence, you're just claiming it, presenting it to the bezdin, not in the presence of the other edim. So true. Nehida hazama le'yahavya. It can't be accepted as a hazama. You can't indict, incriminate a fellow unless you're willing to confront him, but it has some effect. It creates a contradiction in the edus. So although you can't incriminate the first edim, turn them to edim zemim and punish them, but you can just invalidate the account that they presented, because it's a contradiction here between their account and your account. So although the personal aspect of the hazama doesn't really take off, because you have to confront that person, in this case, you don't have that. But the account, the story, the presentation can be contradicted, even if it's not in the presence of the first pair of Edom. That's a chiddush. So even when you're coming to be mazim the Edom, imanu ha'yisem, they were with us. They personally were with us in a different location at that time, which initiates the process of azama. If it's shaloi b'fneim, if it's not in their presence, you can't do that. But in as much as you can't make them Edom zemim, you can accomplish this much. You can contradict. This is deemed a contradiction of their edus, of the fact that they presented. Okay, interesting machlekes. We have three shitas. We have Rav Sheshes, who says even hakchasha, when it's just a factual disagreement, that has to be in the presence of the original presenters. Rav Nachman disagrees, and Ravo adds even hazama, which pertains to the person. You are with us in different. If it's shaloi b'fanav, it works somewhat, that it creates a contradiction in the actual fact, and it becomes null and void. Let's go back to the halacha we learned yesterday. How are you going to certify the signatures in Ishtar? You have two witnesses who are willing to testify that these signatures are indeed legitimate. Or you have another document which has already been certified in Bezdin, which features the same signatures, so you just compare it. Oh, these are very similar to those. Apparently it's the same, and just as those are valid, these are valid as well. Their signatures have been proved and certified via another source, which is mishtar, using another document, shekaral of arer, on which a challenge was challenged, meaning has already been challenged and opposed in Bezdin, then it was certified in Bezdin. So now you know it's been stamped, certified by the Bezdin. You can use that shtar as a precedent, as an example, as a source to compare our signature to. So in this case, once you've certified this shtar, ein ne'emanin, so if the Edom, who are the signatories of the shtar, will come and claim that, well, there's something wrong with the shtar, we can't believe them because we already have independent verification of this signature. We don't need their discussion, we don't need their information. End of halacha. Karal of arer in. This only works because the other shtar had been challenged and then certified, so you know it's certainly valid. Loi karal of arer loi, but if it hadn't been challenged in Bezdin, so then it's not considered a certified shtar. Mesayele the Rabbi Asi, that's a right, Rabbi Asi, Rabbi Asi. Ein mekayim as a shtar, you can only use as an example, as a precedent. You can only use a shtar, elam ishtar shekara, olav irer. It can only be mekayim a shtar using a shtar on which there was a challenge, and then was certified in Bezdin. You know, it's perfectly legitimate and genuine. Amri Nahardoi will give you an alternate option as well. Suppose you don't have another document which had been challenged and certified, but you do have two Kesubos, two Kesuba documents being held by people, and you're going to compare our signatures to those signatures, and that will serve as verification. Or two purchase documents pertaining to two fields. So if you have two documents plus the one that we're questioning today, and you compare ours to those, and it seems like it's all matching, then it's fine, and most likely everything's okay. But the signatures in today's document are legitimate. If you want to use a purchase document used to purchase a field, it only works if the buyer had already used that field for 3 years, without any contesting. Nobody contested his ownership. So chances are his document is real, is genuine, is legitimate, and can be used as a source to compare our signature to. Amar of Simi Barashi, ubeyoytzi metachas yad acher. If you want to compare today's document to those two documents that you found, that's only because other people produced them. They're owned by other people. Aval miyad atzmai loy, but you can't compare today's document to your own document sitting in your drawer. What's wrong with using your own documents? Maybe you forged those documents. So what kind of example do they serve? Well, the same question. Those two documents are owned by other people. Nami, there as well. Maybe he took a peek at the other fellow's document. So he came back home and he forged those same signatures. That's why they all look alike. To this extent, and he can't really accurately replicate. If it's sitting in his own possession, fine. He can work at it and compare and forge. But somebody else's document, even if he got a glimpse at it, it's not going to help him to forge it properly. We learned in a Brisa. A person served as a witness. He's concerned that he might forget the details of his edus, so he jots it down. He writes down the points of the incident, and uses it to recall the story, even if it's years later. Amar of Huda provided that even without taking a look at the notes that he took down, he's still going to remember a bit on his own, and the notes simply jog his memory. Rabbi Yehuda Amar, no, even if he has no recollection whatsoever, but when he takes a peek at that note that he wrote for himself, that refreshes his memory. That's okay. Amar Rabba. Shma mino med Rabbi Yehuda. We learn from this halacha that hani beitre diadis adus. You have two edim who happen to know, some edus. Uman shichad menayu, and one of the edim forgot the story. Madkar chad lecharei. His colleague, his counterpart, can remind him of the story. Let's go to Rashi. 11 lines from the bottom. Kaisev Adam. Imasu eid bedavar. He was appointed as a witness. V'yara the sheichai. He's afraid he might forget. He can write down some notes and put it aside. Umeid al piyos iksav. Using that ksav, he can offer testimony later on. Afilu la'achar kama shanim, even years later. Rav Huna maintains, v'hu shezocher me'atzmi. V'lo re'iyas hashtar, even without looking at his notes, niskar ktsas me'edusam elv, he still recalls something. The notes are there just to, fill in the blanks. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, even if he has no idea. No, after he sees the shtar that he wrote for himself, he starts paying attention. And he recalls the story. Meaning, even this, it means that he didn't totally forget it. It wasn't totally erased from his records. Right now he has no recollection. But once he sees the thing, he remembers. But let's say even after he sees the notes, he doesn't recall. He's just going to parrot what it says on his paper. That's a third level. That's the worst. That doesn't work. Why? The Rahman Amar, the pasuk says, the aid has to offer his own personal testimony. Has to be sourced in his brain, not in his writings. So we have three levels, basically. You have a person who sort of forgot, the details, but the general picture is still embedded in his mind. That's Rav Huda's approach. You can use your notes to fill in the blanks and sort of to, complete the picture, but the actual picture you still have in your mind. Rabbi Yehuda says, even if he has no recollection, but as soon as he sees his notes, he recalls, that's also fine. But the third level would be that even after seeing his notes, he has no recollection. He's just going to simply say over what's in his notes. That doesn't work according to every sheet. Continues the Gemara on the third line from the bottom. Iboilu had a question in the yeshiva. How far does this go? What about the Baldin himself? The litigant himself? Could he turn to the aide and say, by the way, do you remember that story that you witnessed about? And the Baldin himself is going to lead him on. You saw when I lent him money, you saw when I bought the field, right? Remember? Does that work? Of course, we're speaking that the aide then jogs his memory and remembers. But since it was instigated by the Baldin, maybe there's some, dishonesty involved. Maybe the Baldin will pressure him and will lead to dishonesty. Rav Chaviva Amar Afilu Atzma, even the Baldin can help the aide recall the story. Marbre the Ravashi Amar, no, Atzma Eloi. That far, that's too far. In fact, we don't allow the Baldin to get involved. But, if the aide is a Talmud Chacham, that we know he's going to be honest, then even if the Baldin, the borrower, the lender, the purchaser, the seller, leads him on, we trust that the aide would not get involved and speak about something that he himself does not recall. So true, he has a hard time recalling, but the Baldin who jogged his memory reawakens it, refreshes it. Now the aide is certainly recalling the incident. Otherwise, he wouldn't just cooperate and offer false testimony, as we find in the following story. Ki hadar Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi had some edus in his mind, which would benefit Rav Kahana. Amar lei, Rav Kahana turned to Rav Ashi. Midachi mar haisadusa. Do you recall the edus? Amar lei. So Rav Ashi says, actually, loy. No, I don't remember. So Rav Kahana asks, V'lav hochi v'hochi hava? Wasn't it so and so? Don't you remember? It was in this place. Amar lei. So Rav Ashi says, sorry, lay it down. No, I really don't remember. But eventually, After a while, discussing it, l'soif idka Rav Ashi did recall the incident. Asidlei, so then he went and he offered edus to benefit Rav Kahana. Chazi, so Rav Ashi noticed Rav Kahana dava machasim. He noticed Rav Kahana was very hesitant. He was uneasy. Perhaps, Rav Ashi was just, towing the line and parroting, the details as per, Rav Kahana's instructions. He wasn't happy with the story. So Rav Ashi responded and put him at ease. Do you think I'm relying on you? I was, working through my brain, and I actually recalled the incident. So you facilitated that recollection, but ultimately, it came back to me, and it's coming from my own personal experience. Now, is there a limit to how, to what extent a person will generally remember a story? We'll see that in the next sugya. Tanan Hasa. Initially, it seems unrelated. Mishnah and Aholes regarding Tumah v'Tahara, but later the Gemara will tie it into our sugya. Hatluliyas are these mounds, mounds of earth, into which sometimes people bury little, miscarried babies, things which are tamei. So it's a little mound. Hakroives bein la'ir or bein la'derech, whether they're situated close to the city or the road. Echad chadoshes, echad yishanes, whether they're newly formed or have been there for a while. Tameos, they're presumed to be tamei, perhaps containing tumah inside, buried inside. Harachaykes, but suppose they're far away from, cities or roads. Chadoshes tahirus. If you notice, new mounds, then they're certainly considered tar. But yishanes, tameos, all the ones have a concern of tumah. The reason is because if it's a new one, since it's far away from civilization, if somebody goes there to bury, they'll go with a crowd, and then people will recall this story. The fact that nobody recalls is a raya that there's nothing there. But if it's Yishanis, it's been there for a while, you never know. Maybe, people did go and did bury, but it's been a while, so nobody remembers. What's considered close? What's considered far? What's considered new? What's considered old? Ezeo Kroiva, what's considered close by? Chamishim within 50 amos. Ve'ezahi Yishana, what's considered old? Shishim Shana, if it's already 60 years old. Tivir Amir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, he has a different definition. Kroiva means Shein Kroiva Himena. When we say close by, means it's the closest mound, to the city or to the road. We assume that that's the most convenient location for burial. Yishana means Shein Adam Zoichra. There's no, time limit. It just means that nobody recalls, when this thing was formed. It's been there for, since time immemorial. That's called Yishana. Fine. That's the Mishnah. Let's analyze the Mishnah. My ir umay derech. We say if it's close to a city, close to a road, that's a problem. Ilay me ir mamish. Derech means derech mamish. It's close to a city, means, a regular city. Close to a derech means a regular derech. Why would that generate a concern and suspicion that there's tumah? Just like that, misfeika. Just out of uncertainty and speculation, mimachsikin tuma, when we just presume there's tuma there. We never do that in Eretz Yisrael. But Amar Shlakish, ilo matzu, they found some sort of excuse. V'tira Eretz Yisrael, and they generated tuma. They considered Eretz Yisrael to be tar, meaning it seems like there was a story and there was a shaila, and they used some sort of excuse, so to speak, an alibi to be matar the area. We seek to keep Eretz Yisrael tar. Why would we just apply tumah out of nowhere? If you have evidence, fine. But otherwise, why is it tummy? Amr Rab Zera was speaking about a very specific scenario. Ir, when it's next to a city, we mean Ir hasmucha lebeis hakvaris, a city which is next to the beis hakvaris. When we speak about a mound next to a derech, it means the derech means derech beis hakvaris, the road leading to the cemetery. So that's different. It's not your typical surroundings. It's a place next to a cemetery. The Gemara explains. Bishleim derech beis hakvaris. I understand. If we're speaking near the road going to the cemetery, the zimnan, it can happen. The misrami ben hashmashes. It's right next to ben hashmashes on Friday night. Last moment, umikru, and it so happened that by chance a cover betel. They ran out of time. Umikru cover betel. They decided to quickly bury the nefel inside the mound. But what about a city next to the Beis HaKvaros? Why would that generate tumah? Kuli the Beis HaKvaros asli. It's not like you're on the road to the Beis HaKvaros. You might quickly make a kvura on the spot. You ran out of time. But a city near the Beis HaKvaros, typically you go to the cemetery to bury. Amar Rabbi Chanina. The answer is like this. True. A regular mace they take to the Beis HaKvaros. But this city, which happens to be next to Beis HaKvaros, so there's tumah in the area in any case. Sometimes women will just use the mound nearby to bury within it their neifel, their miscarried baby. Or another example is umukei shchin, fellows who are suffering from shedding flesh or limbs, chas v'shalom, they might bury zora same their arms in this mound. So ad chamishim amma, if the mound is within 50 amos to the city, azla iluchada, she'll go herself and bury the neifel inside the mound, or the mukei shchin, the same thing. If it's nearby, they'll just do a quick, convenient burial. So you have to be chayshish v'tumah. Tfei, but if it's past 50, dabra inish ba'ada, she'll take a person with her, or the Beis HaKvaros also go to the Beis HaKvaros. Meaning, if she's going to bury somebody far away from the city, she, or in the case of the mukei shchin, won't go alone. Right? They'll take some company with them, and somebody will remember what happened. If nobody's recalling the incident, chances are they went to the Beis HaKvaros. Hilkach tumah be'etz Yisrael machzakina, and therefore, in this case, when it's past 50, we have reason to believe there is no tumah. We don't just apply tumah to Eretz Yisrael. So that's the pshat in the Mishnah. Bottom line is, pertaining to our sugya, we spoke about something which is, way past in the past history, more than 60 years old. People don't remember. Amar Rav Chizda, Shema Minum with Rav Meir. The fact that Rav Meir sets the number as 60, if it's past 60, people will not recall. Hi Sadu, so we learn from this that an edus, testimony, ad shitin shnin mitkar, a person can remember, will recall until 60 years after the fact. Tfeilei mitkar, but if it's past 60 years from the incident, he will not properly recall. And apparently, Chizda is learning from here that if it's past 60 years old, you can't trust his testimony. It's not something which he'll recall. Veloyi says the Gemara, it's incorrect. There's a big difference. It all depends whether you're personally involved, whether you took it upon yourself to remember the story. True, in the case of the neifel of the tumah, it's not like something that's incumbent on me to remember. So if it's past 60 years, I won't necessarily recall an incident which wasn't pertaining to me personally. Aval hacha, but in the case we have an aid who's witnessing an incident, he's involved, he's committed to be the aid. Kiva the Rami alay, since it's incumbent upon me, I took responsibility to testify. Afilu tuvanam, even if it's 100 years later, it's embedded within me and I'll remember. So actually there is no time limit. If I say I remember, fine. Okay, so let's recap today's daf. If we have hazama, it needs to be in front of the edim. Hakchasha, even shalei b'fanav, according to Rabbi Vo, even hazama accomplishes so much. It makes a hakchasha even if it's not b'fneim. How you mekayim shtar? Either edim come and speak about the chasimas being genuine, or you compare it to another shtar which had been challenged and certified in Bezdin, or if we can get people to produce 2 Kesubos, 2 shtari mekach, and then we compare all 3, and if they're matching, then you're confirmed. If a person has a hard time recalling his edus, you can use his notes, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, even if he doesn't remember, rather the notes jog his memory and allow him to refresh himself, that's okay. Even my colleague, the other aide who witnessed with me, can allow me to refresh my memory. Regarding a baldin doing that, only a Talmud Chacham is to be trusted, and we conclude that an aide who was actually involved in a story and took it upon himself to testify can be made 60, 70, 100 years later after the fact, because he took it upon himself and he's going to live up to his responsibility. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha Rabbah.